Assalamualaikum and good morning. We are from Group 1, aka Minecraft, and we will be discuss more about this article, that is review of bioinformatics using data mining technique. So before we going to filter about this topic, actually we must to know what the meaning of bioinformatics and what the focus on this area and to focus on this topic. So in bioinformatics, it focus around the using of computational method to deal with the knowledge commonly situation in biomolecular has to now individually to actively themselves in other area in molecular science. Thus, in the focus, bioinformatics is focused on the interest for scientists to uncover biomarker for discussion to more for successful treatment. Secondly, is bioinformatics in handle meta-learning method where the conditional and free data set are the share between the data grid. At last not least, is bioinformatics is growing development in field in pharmacy, biotechnology, drug preparation, microbiology, and agriculture and fishing. Therefore, data mining is quite play in movement. Data mining is used to access successfully data recognized to example cover is displacement equality in whether is collection of data set. Data mining is provide a full solution in foundation management or through is using controller and unsupervised knowledge analysis technique. So data mining is using discrete method. This data mining is produced quickly verified to under association, check classification, pattern, classification, clustering, discussion tree, and prediction. Classification often one of data mining is accusation is using the estimate value. So there will be two classes in the classification, and both of group are the pre-definition. The class of pre-defined is this technique will be playing in the order structure to assigning object to the group. For this movement, the article has two topics, that is clinical evaluation and classification algorithm. So, okay, then let we hear explanation of this clinical evaluation, especially M-mean, K-mean, and K-mean load, DBC, and K-mean load. So from Muna, who is in computer science, biostatistics student will be explained about this movement.
Thank you, Hasmin, and now I will begin by explaining my part. I will be talking about critical evaluation of clustering technique. Clustering is a way to group a set of data points in a way that similar data are grouped together. Therefore, clustering algorithm looks for similarities and dissimilarities. Clustering is considered one of the unsupervised learning methods. And now I will be explaining about the first critical evaluation, which is the M-mean. M-mean is one of the methods that offers solution for the k-means clustering algorithm method. The M-mean method has both its strength and weakness. Its strength is that it proposes an action to be put in the k-mean. But its weakness is that the solution or the proposition that is put does not prevent or decrease repetition. And in order to improve that, the employment of centroid assurance system is put or employed to reduce the repetition in random sampling technique. The second, I will be talking about the k-means. K-means, it is one of the most popular and efficient clustering method in optimizing the squared error function by utilizing the centroid to represent a cluster. Cluster analysis by the k-means is a quick method used to gain knowledge about data by dividing them into clusters. Similarities in one cluster and dissimilarities in another cluster. PCA, which is the principal component analysis, one of the statistical analysis technique used to reduce the unsupervised dimension, is used to transform a high-dimensional data into low-dimensional data. In another word, PCA dimension reduction is used automatically to perform data clustering according to the k-mean objective function. The third point is the k-mean and the k-medoid. K-medoid is one of the clustering methods. Both the k-mean and the k-medoid are partition methods. They use to divide the data into group or cluster. While k-mean reduces the total square error, k-medoid reduces the sum of dissimilarities between the cluster point and the center point. In the k-medoid method, the data points are chosen as a center medoid. K-medoid is beneficial in reducing noises or outlier as to compare to the k-mean because it can minimize the general dissimilarities. The fourth point is the density-based clustering. Partition-based and hereditary clustering technique are highly efficient with normal shaped cluster. However, when it comes to the arbitrary shaped cluster or detecting the outliers, density-based technique is employed. It is a method used for arbitrary shaped cluster and detecting outliers. DBSCEN stand for density-based spatial clustering of application with noise, is a technique under the density-based cluster. It identifies high-density cluster and separate them from low-density cluster and use distance measure to compare the distance between the object. DBSCAN has been advanced into OBDSCEN algorithm. Why? To reduce the time processing and to speed up the performance as well as improve the output quality or the outcome quality. And now to the fifth point, and now I'll be talking about the fifth point, density-based clustering and k-medoid. K-medoid suffer from some drawbacks such as prior knowledge about the number of clusters and the sensitivity of the dataset in both. Method known as multiple clustering is implemented to reduce some of these drawbacks and maximize the method efficiency. A new algorithm clustering method known as an efficient density-based k-medoid clustering algorithm has been proposed to overcome some of this limitation of the DBSCEN and k-medoid algorithm clustering method and improve the handling of the circulatory distribution and overlapped cluster data point. That's all from my part, and now back to Hasmin.
Ma, ajak lagi ambil sapu ya. Oh, hi. Thank you Mona, giving that information. So we'll be to another type of clinical evaluation that is PD scan, SLM, FTM, GG. So we to welcome Sabrina who is major in bioengineering to explain it. Jangan Ma, nanti ambil sapu.
Thank you, Hasmin.
So for the net clustering techniques, the authors has been doing a review on PDB scan. PDB scan is an improved algorithm for DB scan to enhance the ability of noise used in density-based spatial clustering by using a collection of geotag photo in a particular place or event. There are two concepts and that is applied in PDB scan. First is adaptive density and second one is density threshold. Density threshold was also applied to self-organizing map, which SOM technique, as self-sorting map depends on the minimum spanning trees. But for PDB scan, it is not only cover comparative information from SOM, but it also can represent the information in least spreading over tree compared to SOM. For the next clustering techniques, self-organizing maps or SOM is used to extract large datasets and put it into a few smaller representation by taking important aspect and data extraction into account. SOM is very common among investors. By restricting the buy of different stocks, SOM helps to widen the financial profile, a specialist profile, as it can be harmful to put data input into a lot of comparable conductivity. K-means is one of the popular techniques in data clustering as it manages the data in a simple and efficient way. However, when it comes in clustering large data, K-mean will also face some difficulty as in its productivity. Sakti and Tanamani, as cited in Masood and Hans, have proposed an upgraded algorithm called constrained K-mean clustering in improving the efficiency of K-means and SOM algorithm. As cited in Yi Lin Yi in 2017, FuzzyCMC FCM function is to separate data into a few different clusters in order to maximize the similarity of data within clusters and also to minimize the similarity of data among clusters. Same like K-means, FCM also commonly used in clustering data due to its simplicity and efficiency. According to Velmurugan and Santanam, FCM have three types of data input. First is manually distributed data input. Second is statistical distribution of normal data input using Box-Muller formula. And the third one is statistical distribution of uniform Box-Muller formula as given to the algorithm. Based on the article, the author mentioned that FCM is efficient for uniform distribution of input data. However, by using Euclidean distance function, FCM can only detect spherical structural cluster. So, FCM-M is proposed to replace the classic FCM as it uses Mahalanobis distance function. Yi, Lin, and Yi reported that two new improved algorithms were developed to detect non-spherical structure, which is Gustav von Kessel GK algorithm and Gathgeva GG algorithm. As for GG algorithm, it uses Gaussian distance function, which can only be used for data with multivariate normal distribution. This algorithm, after some procedure, can finally help to stabilize FCM-M clustering result. That's all for me. Thank you for listening. Let's get back to Hazmi. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. And of critical evaluation. So, we continue with the classification algorithm. This movement, as Shakirin, who is information system designer, will be explained about classification algorithm more in discussion 3 and BN.
Okay, thank you, Hazmin. So today I and my friend Husna are going to explain about classification algorithm. There are few types of classification algorithm that we are going to use in data mining. So for example is decision tree, k nearest neighbor, KNN, SVM, support vector machine, neural network, and also Bayesian network. So for my part, I am going to cover only about decision tree and also k nearest neighbor, KNN. So let us get started. So started from decision tree is actually one of the classification algorithms that are easiest and the most common to understand and interpret. Decision tree algorithm is a member of a supervised learning algorithm family that is always involved in regression and classification problems. Generally, decision tree is actually type of data mining technique that used in creation of classification problems, and from what we can see it will construct a model classification in the form of like tree structure. Decision tree use multiple algorithms to decide to split a node into two or more subnodes. By using this technique also, data model are created which will help us to predict class level or value for the decision making process. So there are few things that we need consider when constructing a decision tree, which are firstly is root node. Root node will represent the whole population of our sample, which then will split further into two or more homogeneous set. And then secondly is splitting. Splitting process is a mechanism whereby a node is divided into two or more subnodes. And then the decision node will occur when a subnodes divide into additional subnodes. Then is a terminal node. Terminal node is a node when the node will stop dividing. And then we also have branch. Branch is a complete subsection of the tree. And then the last one is parent and child node. A node that divide into subnode is called as a parent node, whereas a parent node then will divide into, which will produce a new subnode, which will call them as a child node. So are you guys understand? Hopefully that you guys understand. I know it's kinda hard, but just try to understand.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
Okay, then let's proceed to the second classification algorithm, which are KNN. I have read so many things about KNN from the Google and then so on, and then I can say that this method is quite hard to understand, and then I will try my best to explain to you guys what I have understood regarding this method. So basically, in simple word, principle used in KNN algorithm is actually assume the similarity between the new case and existing case and position in the new case in the category, which is most similar to the categories available by measuring the distance between the new data to the closest neighbor. Are you guys okay? It's okay. Later you guys will understand what I'm trying to say. So let us proceed to example. Later you guys will be more open. KNN algorithm can actually be used to solve the problem for classification and also regression, but it is mostly used in to solve the problem for classification. So there are a few equations that we need to know when we want to calculate the distance between the new data point and the closest neighbor, which is there are three equations, which is a Euclidean equation, and then Manhattan equation, and the lastly is Minkowski equation. So but the most used equation in this method is basically a Euclidean equation. Then we also need to calculate the k nearest neighbor, which is we can calculate it by using the Hamming distance equation. And then let us proceed to understand more about this mechanism and how does it works actually. So in order to understand deeper about KNN, let me show you an example. So let's see this picture. Okay, so what you guys see from this picture? So basically there are three categories. There are three things: category A, category B, and also new data points. So actually from this picture, we are trying to know if the new data point actually is belong to category A or category B. So let us use the KNN method to classify this new data point. So let us proceed. The first and foremost, the things that we need to do is we will select the number of the nearest neighbor. So in this example, we can choose about maybe 5. So this means that we are going to choose only 5 nearest neighbor that are close to our new data point. Then we will proceed by calculating the distance between the new data point and existing data point by using the Euclidean equation. Then later by calculating the Euclidean distance, then we can obtain all the 5 nearest neighbor. And from this example, what you can see is there are 3 nearest neighbor. 3 nearest neighbor in category A and also 2 nearest neighbor in category B. So what do you think? So what we can do is, lastly, we are going to do is, since there are 3 nearest neighbor come from the category A, thus we can conclude that the new data point is actually belongs to the category A. So what you guys think? Easy, right? No? If you don't understand, it's okay. Just try to understand. But actually, with the example, it will help you to more understand about KNN method. So I think that's all from me. The 3 more classification algorithm will be presented by my friend Husna. So then we will back to Hazmi. Bye.
Thank you, Achakirin. At last not least, we continue with this subtopic that is classification algorithm, especially in SEM, ASM by Usna is biomedical engineer will be explained it.
Okay, thank you Hazmin. So now I'm going to proceed on another method of another part of the classification network, which is the Bayes network. So Bayes network is also known as the naive-Bayes algorithm, belief network, and also causal network. So this Bayes algorithm is a part of the probabilistic graphical model (PGM), and it is used to compute the compute the question by using the probability concept. So the probability data is built to form a model, which is the data is being used in the form of either mathematical data or the expert's opinion. So in Bayes network, the components involved there are 2 components involved, which is the nodes and the links. So the nodes is known for being the variables, which is, so in Bayes network there are 2 components involved, which is the nodes and the links. So the nodes is actually the variables, which is the variables can be either in the form of continuous data or discrete data. So the example of continuous data is the age or height, which is in the form of number and can be calculated. So for the discrete example, for discrete data, the example is the gender, such as male or female. So another component of Bayes network is the link. So the link is used to direct the link or relationship between the nodes, so that it will show the influences between the nodes given, which is the variables. And so when the nodes are not, when there are no link between the nodes, it doesn't mean that the nodes that does not influence each other, but it might mean that the variables might influence the other, might influence or give a result in the form of when the nodes however, when there are nodes that is not linked to one another, it doesn't mean that the nodes is not influence the other nodes, but it might link and influence the results by the other mean, which is it might influence through the other nodes. So for example, is the probability of having rain. So the variables or the causes might can be seen through, there are three variables, which is the cloudy sky, dark cloudy sky, so it become dark in the environment, and strong wind, and also we can see that there are sometimes it will have sprinkles on the grass, on the land, and on the soil. So we can determine that there are probability that there are rain. We can assume that there are probability to have rain on that day, on that time. Okay. Based on base server website, this method can be used for reasoning, prediction, determining any abnormalities, and also for the diagnosis. So this network can be classified into 4 different analytical groups, which is the descriptive analytics, prescriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, and also the predictive analytics. So to conclude, the base network shows the likelihood of one variables, which is the node, to influence one another, and also it can be used to determine the structure of a graphical model. So that's all from me on base network. Thank you. So this will be the last part of the classification algorithm, which is the neural network. So what is neural network? So the neural network is a part of the deep learning, which is the artificial neural network is built based on the biological nervous system, by which the data or the input is received, and the information signal will be transmitted to the brain to be processed, and then the output will be shown through the reaction towards the input. Similar with the biological system, the artificial neural network also have the data presented at the output layer, and it is processed through the hidden layer and then directed to the output for the results. So this type of algorithm can be used to classify data through training beforehand. So for example, we would like to classify between a cat and a dog. First, an image data of a cat will be introduced to the input layer, and then the data will be processed and directed into the hidden layer. So in the hidden layer, the data will further be processed and then weight according to the previous data to get for the results, and then it will be directed to the output. So the output will show the result, However, if the result is wrong, the neural network will be trained back by using the propagation method by readjusting the weight of the input to reduce the error during the calculation. So when the data has been through the back propagation, the algorithm will be readjust and then it will reduce the error, so it will be directed again to the correct results. So in this era, this type of algorithm is commonly used for face recognition, and sometimes when people travel to the other country, they don't understand what the signboard is talking about. So they will direct their phone to the signboard, and the Google will help to translate it. So the thing happen is actually through the artificial neural network. So that's all for me on neural network. Thank you.
Thank you, Usna. And this moment, in my conclusion, our data mine and bioinformatics are rapidly expanding and closely linked to research. It's useful to look the main research issue in bioinformatics and blow out the new knowledge design strategy for flexible and strategic study of biodata. This article handled the process for organizer in the data mine activity. Data mine is made up of the various areas, and one is bioinformatics. A classification is used to predict effective the order may aim to create the more variable and correct system test. This research is discussed about topic classification along with the projection or based on data mine algorithm used in bioinformatics and its later form development. So, the operating toward to more filling the known the gap. The recommended classification method shall be further improved later by using catering technical amalgamation to achieve more precision in outcome and to reduce the time to needed to data or possible information for closer for hard data in that. So from me has been the reporter of the Minecraft will be end over here. Thank you for watching.